Welcome to uh oh it's been so long. What are we doing again?
Okay. That was
What is
fairly
this?
smooth, actually. I suppose. What is this? Oh, good. Well, it's been I guess
You?
this is the first thing to talk about. Is
I'm not.
well, not necessarily how long it's been. But it has been about a month. Technically, it's been I think it's technically been 3 weeks between the episodes. Which I think would make it the general month, which is 4 weeks. That's sort of the
I
rough
think
month.
we used to do this weekly. Well, I mean that's the difference between when there was something to talk about weekly
Well,
and
okay.
when there's
Oh,
barely anything to
weekly.
talk about
Well,
monthly.
okay. I want to be retroactively rude to everyone involved in this whole charade, which is both us and Ghost Ship. In that there probably wasn't actually new stuff to talk about. There probably wasn't new stuff to talk about literally every week. Sometimes there was, and sometimes there still is. I mean, technically there would have been in the lead up to season 5, but it's not like that was just the high of sort of the that was just the high of what was going on at the time, which is both what the game was doing and also just having recently started, basically. Really, so it was just so much easier. Oh, ugh.
And back then we actually played it, which was pretty handy. Um, I mean, are you even playing it? I've not seen you on it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I am. I am playing it a little bit. I mean, I didn't need to for a little bit. I'm going to be starting up the well, not build showcases, overclock showcases are starting up again next week. One per week, not two per week, as I was doing to get through all of the new overclocks. One per week, and basically I'm just doing it. And it's actually a really good way of doing it. I'm basically just picking a. I'm using the Wheel of Fortune to pick a random overclock from each weapon week by week. And because the last episode was engineer, I started with Gunner, started with the minigun, and I just had it pick a random overclock for me to focus on. Lucky me, got Burning Hell. But
it's
you know,
like
yeah, it is. I mean, and it's well, what's lucky is I somehow didn't do a build showcase on it before, because obviously, Burning Hell and Volatile Bullets is like one of that is like that might be the most prolific synergy in the game as far as like a build goes. It's just the most well known
I think
like
it's
build.
so well known that it's actually misinformation on how the game works as a whole. Like people talk about Burning Hell and Volatile Bullets as like synergy and combination with builds, but there really isn't. Like there's only like a couple other synergies that are that like transparent
Yeah, and,
and
and I would say most of the
like
other ones came from Gen 3, and were very
yeah.
deliberate because they wanted to do more combo stuff, which is cool. But the point of the Overclock Showcase videos is also not just for me to also experience overclocks I might not normally use, because that will be the case, but the concept I came up with when I was doing the new overclock videos for the season 5 overclocks was to do two missions, and in each one I would use the overclock in the most basically the two most different ways that I could come up with that were at least okay. So what's come from that from Burning Hell is one of them is the obvious one. One of them is Volatile Bullets. The other one is very, very strange, and I'm very excited about showing it off. It's not something I expected to like at all, but it's working surprisingly well. It's quite devious, I must say, and that hopefully will be a running theme for a lot of those videos. That's kind of the concept. So yeah, I have been playing a little bit, but look, the point is, or a point we could make. I don't want to dwell on this kind of thing because I don't think we're here to dwell. But obviously, we can easily make a point about how you can't blame anyone for not playing at the moment. Could easily make that point and possibly even like propagate that point for a long time. That's not what we're here to do. Because frankly, I think it's very self-admitted by Ghost Ship that yeah, there's no there's certainly no reason to come back to Deep Rock right now. I would say that for sure. I wouldn't necessarily give someone anyone any. I wouldn't give anyone any shit for continuing to play. I still kind of am, but there's no reason to come back, and there probably won't be. We kind of just. It's very, very appropriate to basically, not even just see Deep Rock is dead. Just see it as like shut down. It's like it has been temporarily sunsetted, and we've been through this before, but it has been temporarily sunsetted because they're literally making another game. But we still get some stuff like this thing. What was the thing? You do know what it is. Yeah. And what was it about? What was it about? You tell me.
See, what Harry's doing here is he asked me to read it beforehand, and so he's now testing my knowledge. And the answer to that question is cave generation, because I watched your video on it because it was easier.
Of course it was.
Because you do the reading for me.
Did I do it well? That's my question.
You did it fine. I mean, it's not my type of content, to be honest with you, but
no, okay, sure.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat. I have not. No, this was never serious, but I have actually thought about. Oh, maybe I could use like text to speech to read it for me, which is so shitty. Would never do it, by the way. But I'd be like, it's like flashbanged my mind. Like as an idea.
That's like
no
the next level of television content. It's just like we're one step away from getting AI to do everything for us.
I would love to see, because I think this kind of thing is actually interesting. I would love to see an AI try to make a barrel vision video. Just feed every video into it and just see what it comes up with. I would want to see that. I probably wouldn't even want to publish it. I mean, I might, and be very like explicit about what it is, but I would genuinely be interested. It's like the kind of idea of like take any given podcast, right, and just feed every episode into an AI and see what it comes up with, because it's usually like it usually gets the tone of the thing very correct, but none of the subject matter is sensical, even slightly. It's always just complete nonsense. You know, I think I have heard a Joe Rogan one actually, where it's like a fake Joe Rogan clip made by an AI, and it sounds exactly like Joe Rogan, which means I guess the fact that it didn't make sense isn't too surprising. But yeah, we're not going to be employing the use of AI yet. Not anytime soon.
But Ship can't claim the same, because they're getting robots to do all of their cave generation.
I mean, that is technically true, isn't it? It's technically AI.
I don't think it's called AI, but I mean, it's not far off, is it?
No,
it's still a machine doing stuff.
No, yeah, it was It was nice. So obviously, yeah, we got a below decks post, which is lovely behind the scenes articles. What did you see that? Written by Aaron, the content writer at Ghost Ship, and yeah, it was great. It was probably one of my favorites so far. But you know what's weird? I don't think it didn't surprise me. I wasn't like surprised by how the cave generation system worked from reading that. It completely made sense to me. I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I expected, to be honest. You know?
Quite a few times, right? Like we've seen it many times.
It's very
easily. That's but so we've always kind of guessed. There's a lot of it you can kind of intuit, right? Like the yellow semicircles at the end being like the entry points, walls, that kind of thing. Was pretty.
If you were to look at the wireframe diagram, you could pretty easily just deduce what each different object is, basically. And there was a couple of
played the game. You can kind of see what parts where.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And there's a couple of things that you will pick. You basically have to try not to pick up on, like the obvious stuff, like the fact that there are. It's not literally a completely randomly generated thing. I mean, that's obviously. I think most people understand that if they know what procedural generation is, but just the concept of just room types, but also the fact that it can basically cross them over and things like that, and that's how you get unique rooms. And things like that. It kind of all just makes sense. It lines up with what I expected. But I still like these because they just provide insight on a more basically affirmative level. It's like I could have almost guessed pretty much all of this, but I don't necessarily want to be guessing all the time. And I think it's just nice to have genuine knowledge. Because I think, especially right now, and I know they want this to change, they want to be able to talk about Rogue Core, but especially right now, basically anything that makes them seem more open it feels pretty good, especially when they basically don't have any, unfortunately, don't have any game content to push at the moment. It's just like this is so, which is
Yeah.
why there should be, in my selfish opinion, a tad bit more of this kind of thing. But at the same time, when you look at it, I can see where the effort goes into these articles as well. I'm not saying it's like these don't take as
Yeah.
long as they take. They're quite well done.
I popped it on their stream,
Mm.
like basically when that went live, because he mentioned it, well, I guess an hour after it went live, because that's what he said.
Yeah.
But he has kind of talked about that did take a while. Like it
Yeah.
was a bigger one than normal, I guess. Which I mean, it's a bigger feature than the ones he normally covers, right? The generation of caves in the cave game, Deep Rock Galactic versus Sausage Hat.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
there's
I think I think we have, and I think that's actually worth talking about or worth at least pointing out. I think there has been a genuine. I don't begrudge the first Below Decks necessarily, right? But I think there's been a marked improvement in subject matter, and this what the reason I don't begrudge the first one. The first, because obviously the first one was about that damn sausage hat, right? I don't begrudge it because it's clearly a pilot. Okay, you know, it's clearly like a trial article. So I understand taking something sort of less less essential basically to the game to sort of go with on the first go at it. I understand that, but based on that being the first one, I think they've gotten a lot better. I think this one and also the one about the roll call one about the crawler, both like really cool things to read. That one was probably the best one though. The one about the crawler, I think that's easily the best Below Decks article. Because that just showed so much cool stuff, and it also, that one was actually the only example so far of a Below Decks being like proper marketing. You could call the sausage hat one marketing, but the one about the Hoxie's crawler, the reason why that was really cool was because in that article they basically said, there was literally a statement, paraphrasing. This isn't 100% what it said, like word for word, but it was basically like, this is the kind of creature that you wouldn't see in Deep Rock Galactic. Fast forward 2 months.
wait.
And I think that's pretty cool, and which is why naturally I think I'd love to see another Rokor one next would make sense. But at the same time, I think if we were to briefly, before we move on to comments, think about that kind of thing, there was obviously a certain broadcast that happened last year. Obviously, one happened this year. There've been 2 so far. The Ghost Ship on the Horizons broadcast, which have been, both times have been these pretty big events, right? The first one was probably the bigger one, I would say. Thank you. The first one was definitely the most impactful, right? Because that was the Rokor announcement, which was nuts. But I don't say it's like they've necessarily set the expectation, but I wouldn't be surprised. We're kind of half assuming that they're going to be that those broadcasts are going to be, they'll happen like every year. There'll be 2 a year at the same time. It's kind of what we're basically making a half assumption in that, aren't we? In a way, sort of expecting it, almost expecting it to happen again. You know.
The thing is I thought that it would be like, you have the anniversary stream, and then about half a year later you'll have like another stream just to kind of stream, like talk about stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like the other one that they did soon after the anniversary stream, it's just whenever they have anything to announce.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
seems to be probably the more like specific, through line, which is then like, when do we think they're going to have anything to announce? Which, by the sounds of it, nothing too soon. Because on the stream, they do answer questions about Rokor.
Yeah.
Right? They do. Like, they're not willing to hide stuff.
Well, they're not willing to hide the fact that they wish they didn't have to hide Rokor. Still, they're not. They're very open about the fact that they wish.
They don't say everything, but it really comes down to like they can't say much because most of it keeps changing, right?
Yeah.
Like someone asked them, how long do you think an average Rokor game length is? And they were like, right now it's between, I think, like 30 minutes to 50 minutes or something like that. And then they said, but it's probably going to change because we're like changing the game a lot right now because it's too hard. right? Currently, they actually are struggling to beat Rogue Core. I think
Which
is
is
something they're saying.
that sounds pretty cool to me, personally.
Yeah, well, yeah, except they literally said that they think the general player won't be able to beat it, like eventually. So, or
that's
like, it'll
weird.
take it a really long time.
I mean, that makes you wonder what
So,
the approach is going to be as far as difficulty settings goes as well. You know, it's like, what do you mean you can't beat it? Is there not an easy
well,
difficulty?
with it being, chances are, extra difficulties probably won't be on launch, right? That's not that like. If it's it's going to be a live service game. That's not something live service like Rogue likes get added immediately,
Yeah,
right?
well, roguelites tend to have a bit of a different approach to difficulty anyway. Even ones like Vampire Survivor, for example, like any of them. The only example of one where you have like an easier mode that I can think of is actually just RoboQuest, where you can go below the starting difficulty. Most roguelites tend to only have like two
Um,
difficulties really, or like one
Risk of Rain,
difficulty and then like some kind of system. You know, like
Risk of
Hades.
Rain 2 is easier. Because yeah, like some of them just have like modes, right? Like you
Yeah,
do have easier, which is easier than normal, and then like hard, or then so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Some of them are a bit different, like Hades, right? They have ignore hard mode, which is just a completely separate like save file or like
yeah,
step up
hell
or
mode.
something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so on. Like and we'll just
Obviously,
go
it
with like
has
the
the
fire
the heat system,
like
which is
heat.
the heat system's awesome, and I wonder if they took any inspiration for Hazard 5 Plus from that. Um, Even if it was subconscious, you know, because it's like very similar concept, definitely. Which is why,
Yeah.
by the way, I would I want to reiterate this. I would love like more stuff in Hazard 5 Plus. Like I don't know, it's kind of hard to come up with things necessarily because obviously, again, like Hades has so many things like stuff that. I feel like a piece of shit for interrupting the podcast for your sneeze, but I like the fact that it was somehow silent. I like the fact.
So
Like,
yeah, it wouldn't
but
interrupt anything audio wise until
yeah,
you brought it up.
but you know how Hades has stuff. Obviously, it's got more attributes you could tweak, like the prices of things in the shop. Right? There's no like in-game shop in Mission necessarily. Although you know, people have like thought about like increased resupply costs though. That's been proposed by people as a thing. It's like maybe. I mean, because frankly, you know, frankly, Hazard 5 Plus is kind of it's actually not as unbalanced as I was kind of expecting, to be fair. But I do still see it as an inherently unbalanced system where they should kind of just let themselves go with that kind of thing. If you know what I mean. That's the way I see it. I would love to just do anything, just add any feature.
Players that seem to really love the difficulty thing, it's not even about difficulty, right? It's not about how hard the enemies are to kill or how many of them are. They seem to actually be more concerned about the resource management of it. I think that seems to be more of the appeal there.
I think that's definitely
which
the
is why
appeal of
there are
the modded difficulties. I think
even on like max fucking has 5 whatever that's called now, like 5 plus max, um like you're still probably not going to run out of nitro generally if you're competent enough, and
no.
like if you can do those missions, nitro is still not going to be a problem.
I
I
do.
assume
I will say,
generally.
I know this kind of stuff is very theoretical and just sort of based on just feelings, but I do feel like they might have increased the nitro overall in the game after season 5, maybe, without telling anyone.
I think people have said that literally every time they've done an update.
Yeah. Do you know what I
I
think it
think
is?
every time
Do you know what I think it is?
someone's like, is it more nitro or is it just me? And then like some other people are like, you know what? I think you're onto something.
Well, it's not
like,
just you; it's just everyone. But it's not the game. It's not. Even if it's like everyone, it's like a Mandela effect. Even if everyone shares it, it's not real. Like that ancient myth about the increased bolt detonator spawn chance on explode infestation. That so many people feel like is real, but it's just not at all. You know.
But then it's like whenever it does happen, it basically you just reinforce it in your head, right?
Yeah.
Like a new update comes out, and you have a bit more nitro than normal, and you're like, well, what have they done? And then you throw it out into the internet of like other like hundreds of thousand people that are also playing it with a new update, and there's obviously going to be some of them that have also just
Yeah.
got a bit more nitro.
Do you know what I think it is for me? I think the feeling that there might be more nitro in general is probably just the fact from playing Hazard 5 Plus and not running out of that, like just subconsciously having a disproportionate expectation as to how much I'd be running out of ammo. Like my expectation was just too high. I thought I'd be like struggling more, and that's probably what it is. So it's like, oh wow, I actually have ammo. Must be more nitro. But no, it's just.
I mean, if you're on your own, I bet you it's still essentially infinite ammo, really.
Yeah,
Like,
that's definitely a thing.
So I think that probably is the next step. If you actually want to make it more difficult, that is probably because you can't reduce the nitro, so they just increase the cost to equal it out.
Yeah. Speaking of solo, I just had a thought about the weird nature of solo. Obviously, whether or not it's actually easier or harder than just normal multiplayer, and I don't know because obviously you have the thing about Bosco. He can basically auto revive you, but it's like a limited amount. But it's like, to make it more similar to, you wouldn't be making it more similar to multiplayer by giving Bosco infinite revives, right? That would break it completely. But it makes me think about, this is not something you could change now, but it makes me think about what things they have the opportunity to do in Rogue Core. It's like a solo companion that is just a bit smarter. So maybe it could revive you potentially infinitely, but it's also an actual companion that can go down as well that you would have to revive. That would be interesting to see.
I hope there is more along those lines. Like maybe there's mech companions, but there's also like Steve, right? I mean, Steve is definitely going to be a thing in Rogue Core, right? Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, like
in one way,
hold on, if we can base an assumption off of some very like old things that were said, but sounded like they were fairly set on, is that there's going to be like a lot more classes, but there obviously wouldn't be as like necessarily as structured, like defined as the Deep Rock ones, but there would be more basically pre-mission choices for you. One of them could easily be like a Beastmaster perk focused guy that you would choose, or at least that's like your going into the run sort of loadout in a way, because obviously we're not expecting classes I'm personally not expecting classes in the sense of like the classes look different. I am for some reason expecting in Rogue Core you to have like your character and then you just pick
I think
like preset
I'm
abilities.
not sure if it's like based on anything at this point, but from what I recall, it be like you get the starting pistol, which is the one we've seen, and they might have improved it by now. But
that is something I think they're pretty dead set on as well, though. But the pistol sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and that's pretty common for these kind of games.
Yeah. A starting pistol is basically, or starting weapon in all roguelikes is like that. But then I think you get a special weapon and a special ability, which are like things you pick and are separate. Like I don't think they're tied to a class, both of them. I think like you can pick like a sniper. And then you can pick like a cloaking ability like separately. They're not linked, I don't think, but they could always change it. And I hope it's that, because that would be a lot more replayable, really, if they're separate.
Got a sniper.
And I think the weapon, like the weapon and the ability need like charges, or maybe the weapon would need like special ammo.
Well, like, it's like the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing where you could imagine the starting pistol being like infinite ammo,
Yeah,
like,
if we're
like the Mass Effect thing, where it's basically filled with like tiny chips of morkite. It's got like millions of chips of morkite inside it that it fires at supersonic speed. That's how it has infinite ammo. Or the better option, the feed mechanism is shaped like an infinity symbol.
What's that from?
I guess they would give you infinite ammo. Metal Gear Solid, I think. You see, the firing mechanism is shaped like an infinity symbol. Oh, yeah. I guess they would give you unlimited ammo. Yeah. But that's what I would expect, basically. I think I remember when we started playing RoboQuest, I could obviously tell the starting pistol had infinite ammo, but I still thought, like, for a couple of games that the other weapons had limited ammo. But I think that sounds like it might probably be the case in Rogue Core. I think is that how it is in Gunfire Reborn? The starting weapon...
Gunfire Reborn, there is ammo. And
but what about the starting weapon, though? That's what I mean. Just I think the starting.
The starting weapon is infinite.
That's yeah. And I think they mentioned Gunfire
In
Reborn
all games,
actually.
the starting weapon is infinite because I think you always have to have a weapon.
Yeah.
Unless you get rid of the starting weapon, then you're screwed.
It's the same in
Or you can.
Doom 2016 actually, not Doom Eternal. They took that away, but in Doom 2016 you have a starting pistol that always has infinite ammo, and then all the other weapons have limited ammo. Yeah, that's probably accurate. I don't see what that has to do with cave generation though.
Well, it's to do with well, I don't see what cave generation has to do with what they're doing.
Well, it probably doesn't. It's probably not completely out of the way.
Do you think? I assume they're like, it's a whole new batch, right? That it's kind of the size and scale of stuff is different.
Yeah.
Although there was another question they answered on stream. The movement is going to be very similar to Deep Rock, I think. Like it's basically the same the way the characters move. So maybe the scale.
Yeah, I imagine that will be like there'll be some differences, especially because I can imagine they're definitely going to go to more places, more different places with traversal equipment that we see in Deep Rock. So that'll definitely influence that. But I can definitely respect the decision to, as a baseline, not change the very basic way it feels to move around is probably something that wants to be that you would maintain. I think that makes sense identity wise.
There'll be like updates that they change that shit, but
yeah, there will be. I think we both
like
adjusted our seating at the same time.
Yeah. We're gonna lock in.
Interlinked.
But I don't know. It really is actually going to be like a lot more similar to, I think, a DLC than a unique game. By the way, like if moving feels the same, and so far, like those creatures that we've seen in the in season 5, right? Presuming that they look the same in Rogue Core as well, the art style won't be that different too much either.
I wanted to actually. That's something that's worth touching on. So I think some creatures will probably look the same, but I think the cave thing is actually worth doting on for a tiny bit longer because I think you're probably right. I think they probably are going a completely new batch for a couple of reasons. First of all, it thematically and contextually makes sense, right? We are, as far as we know, in a different part of the planet, or a lower part. Just over the course of Rogue Core, it's kind of a completely separate location. Still in Hoxie's, of course. So it would just make sense contextually, but also, I think that is something you would want to change because I think there will be creatures that are the same. Like I think the Glyphid Grunt. Honestly, the Glyphid Grunt is the only one that I can actually see looking different because it's such a simple design. I can imagine it being like, fuck it, we're making like a deep grunt, and he's going to look a little bit more detailed. But apart from that, I reckon all the creatures that carried over are probably going to look the same. But caves is probably something you would want there to be not necessarily no familiarity in the way they kind of feel, but no pattern recognition. I don't want to be seeing the point extraction caves in Rogue Core, and I think they probably are going to be avoiding that. Because it wouldn't be a great idea.
That could really be the worst thing about Rogue Core is if people like start playing it and they're literally like, this is just like an asset flip of their other game, right? Yeah, like, that's probably the worst thing that could happen to Rogue Core.
That's like
that it looks and feels essentially identical.
Yeah, that speaks to that weird dilemma of how interchangeable they should be. You know, which we've talked about quite a bit before. But it is, I think it is actually important. I can imagine they're actually considering it a lot. It's just like, how similar should this be, and therefore, you know, should they feel like the same game? And I don't think so. But I think about the differences between, and I apologize for the self insert here, but it makes me think about Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST, where Halo 3 ODST. I think about Halo 3 ODST because, as far as I know, I think that was meant to be a DLC. I think. Either way, it definitely presents itself as one. It came bundled with a Halo 3 multiplayer DLC anyway. And it's literally the same as Halo 3. Like, in terms of the way it looks and like the assets and all that. It's a completely different location. Like, ODST takes place in like a futuristic human city entirely, so it's a completely different environment to what you see in Halo 3. But it's still completely the same. But Halo 3 ODST is maybe my favourite game ever. And I also love Halo 3, but completely separately. So it's possible. That's all I'm saying. It's very possible for that to work, even if it does feel like a DLC. I mean, it's a recurring clarification. So I love this action we're getting over here. It's a recurring clarification that Rogue Chords did start. It started as a DLC, but became something bigger. And we know that Ghost Ship, they have a tendency to get carried away, right? And we probably want that. We probably want them to get carried away so that Rogue Core spirals further and further away from feeling like a DLC as possible. You know, that would be ideal, I think, for everyone involved.
Well, because I do believe that the gameplay should be different, but even then it doesn't sound like it's going to be too far. Like, it's probably going to be the same kind of weapons and equipment generally, but I don't know. I just hope there's just a twist to everything.
I think that's probably going to be the idea. I think as a baseline it will feel interchangeable with Deep Rock until you actually do something. I think that's kind of the way I see it, or the way I want to see it, ideally.
When I'm picturing it in my head, I'm thinking everything's going to be a bit sharper. Like, there's going to be more triangles than squares, kind of thing, and everything's going to be a bit darker, more darker hues, less lighting kind of stuff. Other than important stuff, will probably be glowing armor and color.
It's gonna be female dwarves. It's gonna be so different, man.
Yeah. All kinds of creatures. Okay. And I don't know. That was what I'm thinking, because I trust their gameplay, right? I trust them, that stuff. But my problem is that there is a chance that they don't stray far enough away. They play it a bit too safe, or just they didn't think.
And I don't know if you agree with this, but I think the longer that they iterate and the longer that they spend trying to figure out what Rogue Core is, the more likely they are to just end up going back to status quo. Which is why you definitely, based on what we know, I definitely want them to be, set on what the game's going to be pretty soon.
Jeez.
Because the more ideas you run through, the more of those ideas just don't seem right, and you just end up going back to your roots.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're saying that the game is too hard right now is kind of good, because that means they've clearly changed a lot to the point where it's difficult. Right?
Yeah. Because Deep Rock, look, let's be honest, Deep Rock's not a hard game. The fact is, even though it's still a minority of the player base, most people who talk about the game, even Snis, who's a more casual, welcoming kind of content creator, I'd say, in terms of subject matter, it's not all about hardcore gameplay and whatnot. He still plays completely on Hazard 5, and if he ever talks about something that's related to gameplay, he's always clarifies this is based on sort of Hazard 5 experience and things like that. It is kind of the default, even though it's the minority of the player base, it's still the default almost. People talk about the game in, It's the difficulty that the game gets filtered through in conversation compared to any other, which tells you that it's not that hard, really, in a way.
I mean, or at the very least, you can be an infant that doesn't know how to hold the controller. As long as has one exist, you can probably still beat a mission of Deep Rock Galactic.
As long as all you need to tell for Hazard 1, all you need to tell them is that if something comes up to you, something that looks bad, just hold this one button, which is the pickaxe button, because it will kill them.
Thorns, and they're basically immortal.
Yeah, I mean, Macteras might, but how long is it going to take a Hazard? As long as he's moving this infant, 2 years old,
one Mactera is going to spawn.
Yeah, and it's maybe a 2-year-old. They're probably moving very frantically anyway. That Hazard 1 Mactera is not going to be.
He's not going to be.
He's accidentally matrixing his way through the Mactera projectiles, just completely by accident. Yeah. That's crazy. It definitely says something. Probably shouldn't spend much longer on Rogue Core. Hopefully, I know they said something about how they want to. They literally can't talk about it yet. But I still feel like it's not the far future anymore. It's still in the future. We're not going to hear about it yet. But I don't think it's not a distant dream anymore. I think probably by the I don't know about by the end of the year even though. Still, I don't actually know about that. That's the thing. I do wonder about that.
I reckon at least now they've got like the big rock that was just when they announced Rogue Core is now like looking vaguely statue-like now, and they're just kind of chipping away at.
Oh, bringing back
how
the Barrel Vision staple, weird fucking constant analogies. I like this one. So Rogue Core is a big like a big block of stone that they've been sculpting, and now it's just starting to look like a person. Basically, it's starting to look like a figure, and they're just about to get this to the stage, ideally, where they can actually decide who the figure is. It's starting to look like a person, but they don't know who the person is yet. They need to, start making him or her into an actual character.
Right now, the person is too hard.
It's got it's like a big protrusion below the waist.
Yeah, they're chipping away
protrusion.
Making it a little less hard.
That's great. One more thing, and I don't want to spend too long on this because honestly, could be an entire episode. There's a couple of things actually I want to do as far as like 4 episodes go about what we want from Rogue Core. I really don't want to talk about this, but the female dwarfs thing I do find interesting. I find it interesting because I find the idea of whether or not that is actually an essential thing for them to do. I find that idea interesting. Because I think there's a very strong argument that they basically have to do it, but I don't necessarily know if I fall on that side of the fence either. I find it really fascinating.
I completely separate myself from this opinion, but it's simply the fact that when confronted about not having female dwarfs, they said that they kind of realized that too late, and they really they've done too much, and they can't go back and add female dwarfs, and that is fair enough.
Yeah,
this is a brand new game. They have not done anything yet. They are starting and can work from there. So if female dwarfs are not in the game, first of all, it means they almost essentially lied. Second of all, it would probably lead even more in the DLC side of things, where the dwarf models and cosmetics are probably still the same, so they couldn't make new female dwarf ones because they're still using the old dwarves.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's kind of like my position. I would say is probably something like it just wouldn't personally upset me, but I would also acknowledge that they don't really have an excuse either. If people get upset about that, like let's just say the hypothetical, because I think it's probably more likely than not that they will do it. But let's just say they don't. I won't be blaming anyone. I won't be coming to Ghost defense in that situation. That's all I'm saying. I
remember it was brought. I don't know when, but I know we've talked about it because it was brought up on one of their streams. Someone asked them, and they were like, they were like unsure, and it's like, what do you mean you're unsure? What
yeah?
I can only assume I don't know, if they are starting from the ground up with the way the dwarves look, there's no excuse, right? But if they are basically just following on with the dwarves from the main game, and they're going to be I don't know, just using that, then I guess the excuse of no female dwarf still stands, but then the whole DLC problem comes up. Of it being
the best option is just to somehow canonize their gender neutrality, right? Canonize the fact that dwarves don't have different biological sexes, and because you've got more money, just get a female voice actor as well, so you have 2 different voice types. You don't even have to make different models then. You don't, because I don't think that's the case. Look at the they don't have nipples. That we know that. So what's going on there? Because they, of course, as we know, they were suckled from a teat of stone. So
the fact they don't have nipples means they weren't, because you know how the only reason guys have nipples is because they were girls in pregnancy. Right?
Yeah, that is technically true. It's a weird biological fact. Yeah, so get wrecked, shit libs, or whatever, man, dude bros. You were a girl once, by the way. Andrew Tate, you were a girl once. I just want you to know that.
Which means you deserve to be respected less, as you say.
Oh, God, thank God, as you said. I didn't know you were going to say that. You just want to stop as, that means you deserve to be respected less.
As much as I'm willing to insult women, there's nothing better than insulting Andrew Tate first. All right,
yeah.
he takes.
I love nothing. We love women. We love women.
Yeah, they just don't like us. Whenever we're chasing half of them in the middle of the night with being lit up intermittently by street lamps. They don't seem to be a big fan of us.
I'm literally just trying to help them get home
Get home quickly and safely. You're there
quickly.
for her
Yeah.
protect.
Well, honestly, okay.
You're
No,
trying
no,
to scare off
no,
other men by
no,
screaming at
no.
the top of your lungs.
Stop it. Stop. We've got comments to get through. That's kind of the other half of this. So I think we should start with that. Especially because we've got a couple of big ones from one person, and you know who you are. Don't worry, Tyler. I'll be reading those ones. You know who I'm talking about.
All right.
So
Does that mean I've got the rest?
Yeah, actually, I think I don't think I've actually made sure this is set up properly to show the comments. Let's just I think this should be fine. Yeah, okay, it's perfectly fine. Although that's definitely not the first one. I will say that is not the first one we're supposed to be doing. Obviously, I have the first one. Obviously, Tyler can't see it, so he's just going to rely on me reading it. Okay. So this is, of course, from Friendly Moth Person, or Real Moth Person, sorry. And we'll just call you Moth Person. If we accidentally use any previous name that is not out of malice, it's out of forgetfulness. But yeah, Moth Person. What?
We're starting with this one.
There's two.
Actually,
No, because there's two. Because this is the one from the post that I put out. It's actually the only one that we got. So I think it's completely fair to start with this. So we'll just start from one. I don't need that. Firstly, I have a couple of questions. So we can actually answer these once I'm done reading. That's actually nice. Have you witnessed the recent modding scene / Reddit censorship drama, and what do you think? Something tells me you probably haven't, by the way. And
no,
I didn't consider asking you to look into that because I wouldn't. You don't need to. I don't really understand it. All I know is I haven't sent you those ones. I only sent you the ones that you're going to be reading. So you just have to deal with that. Yeah, there's been some, and yeah, I guess this is kind of a bit of a problem for us in that we claim to be a deep current events podcast, and this is very much so a thing that's been happening, but I don't understand it, frankly. And I didn't really want to look into it because I understand it. And look, it's not like we haven't dipped our toes into drama before, because there was obviously drama once when...
Back in the day, Eurovision used to be on the finger on the pulse when it came to Reddit drama.
Yeah, and then we became successful. Well, no, because the only example of that, really, when we were, like, in on it, was actually when the female dwarf debate was, like, a big thing.
Female dwarf, and when they removed the overclock grind. That was basically... those two.
Oh yeah, and the overclocked grind. But this is this, in my opinion, somehow feels a bit more political. I mean political between, like, not like government politics. I just mean the politics of, like, it's political in nature. So the way people are going about it, I would say. It's because, like, with like the sides and things. And my understanding of the situation is that basically so Ghostship uses mod.io as, like, that's the service they use to provide mods for the game, or where people can provide mods for the game. My understanding of the situation is that basically the moderators on mod.io are chumps. That's my impression. Okay, is that they're kind of shitty, and they kind of have been banning mods or taking things down. I think even banning mod creators. And as far as I know, almost all the examples of them doing this have been very much so just unjustified. People haven't approved. That is my understanding. Completely citation needed. I don't really know what I'm talking about, okay? So if I'm wrong, please correct me. But that is my impression of the situation. And all I would say is, if anything, when it comes to mods, as long as it's not anything... as long as it doesn't engage in any illegal subject matter, no reason to take anything down, basically. I think it's just a very safe baseline. Even the fucking disgusting... I don't mind using that verbiage. The disgusting, like, kobold mods, where people turn themselves into kobolds. That's fine. That's fine. Or if you want to turn your characters into furries, it's fine. I don't care. But the only thing that should be taken down is just anything that engages in illegal subjects. And I mean like illegal, like I don't even mean like adding like drugs to the game. I think you know what I'm talking about, right? I think you know. I hope you know what I'm talking about. When I say there's only a very small type of subject matter that should entail the removal of a mod, you know.
Very small type of subject matter.
Wow, that's great. They're all small. They're dwarves. But yeah, I mean that's. And like I said, Tyler hasn't even heard of this.
So the drama isn't even. Is it even inherently to do with Deep Rock Galactic, or it's just the mod.io platform that they use?
It is to do with Deep Rock. It is to do with Deep Rock mods. It's the Deep Rock.
What, they're just targeting Deep Rock?
Well, no, because it's the moderators for. I don't really know how the mod.io works, but they have moderators for Deep Rock mods. It's not generalized moderators. These are people who monitor the Deep Rock Galactic modding scene.
It's not just a symptom that, as a whole, Deep Rock actually has really fucking shoddy moderating. Like the Discord is like noted for having mods that will just ban you, like if you basically don't spew the exact same shit constantly. A lot of people who say that probably just say the N-word, but like still,
yes, that's true. But again, look, I mean, why did I get banned? I used text art. I used text art. Yeah,
that's
it's like, oh, that's interesting. Why did I get threatened with Reddit bans for spamming? Because I was spamming. I'm a spammer. Technically a spammer. Technically a spam. And look, we've stopped doing that. But look, I guarantee you, if I post anything else to the Reddit, or share a video to Reddit, I should say, if I do anything like that same person will come at me again. Like for sure.
They got you. They want their eyes on you.
Yeah, but you're actually right. And unfortunately, what you've just done there is you have. I'm sure we're not going to start anything because it just doesn't happen. But you have sort of touched on another potential drama, which is basically just calling out the DRG's community moderators as a whole. That's what you just did.
Well, the great part
but I agree with you, by the way.
Is, as mentioned, we don't use any of it, right? I mean, I haven't posted on the Reddit in yonks. I forgot about the whole Discord thing. Hell, I'll be surprised if I'm still like a YouTuber as far as they're concerned. Like have access to that stuff.
Well, that's the one thing that will Tyler Discipline but that was more justified than Reddit because there's a section of the Discord that's for that though. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's literally the point. But I'm supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, you are.
And because I
didn't know you. Well, I mean, I would say I didn't know you weren't. I didn't think you were either. I didn't think, and I'm not too bothered. But
I mean, I did it whenever I was streaming.
Don't post this one now because that's not a good idea. Because that's not. I don't think.
Yeah, I'll post this one on the main one. On everything I can.
My main goal.
Make sure everyone hears it.
Yeah, make sure everyone hears it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. They kind of just suck as a whole. Has it been resolved, or have people just stopped talking about it?
I would say those two things are often the same thing. But I would say at least they have stopped talking about it. I think. Yeah.
They're still banning, but no one cares anymore because
maybe I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know the situation, so I'm surprised we were able to. That's far too long to spend on something that we neither of us know anything about. But I will say, what I like about this, by the way, Moth Person, and just anyone listening, questions are actually pretty good. And I'm not talking about like personal questions, but you know, if you want to ask me what my favorite cereal is, I will answer that question. But I think questions actually work pretty well.
What is it? What's your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal, gotta be. It must be chocolate pillows. Which is not Crave. It's actually Harvest Morn's chocolate pillows. Crave's fine. But Harvest Morn, which is basically this cheap brand, they do chocolate pillows and they're pretty good. Also, Golden Nuggets are pretty good as well. I like Golden Nuggets.
I was thinking.
Yeah, so there you go. But no, I'm just saying in general, questions work pretty well because I can just read the question, then like take the thing off screen, and we can just sort of say what we feel about it. Which I think that's actually slightly better than standard comments. And we obviously there's another question packaged in here, kind of. Although this looks a bit interestingly written, Moth Person. I swear that I've heard Ghost Ship Games. Oh yeah, I remember this. I swear I've heard that Ghost Ship Games is expanding their office so they can alternate between DLG and Rogue Core, while a smaller team keeps the other game going. And I think it was maybe from you guys. Do you remember anything like that, or am I like crazy? Because if that's true, then cool. Yeah. Okay. So, what I will say is I don't remember. I remember saying something like that, but
I remember hoping that, but I don't think
yeah.
I've ever heard them say it.
And that's definitely not the reason why they're expanding. It's not so they can have two teams. That might be something that happens, and I think it's something that I probably think should happen. By the way, but yeah, I definitely don't think that's just to sort of expand on basically there's just the subject that you brought up. I don't think that's why they're expanding, moving to a new studio and therefore expanding their team, is so they can have two teams. I just literally just think it's so they have more manpower. But I think a two-team setup could be good reason to do that, and for a lot of different reasons. One of them could be split between, the obvious, Deep Rock and Rogue Core. The other one could be split between console and not console. I don't hate that idea either, especially for Rogue Core, because if they had a team, because as far as we know, at the very least, Rogue Core's not going to be on console out the gate, right? That's probably going to be at least wait until 1.0 if it happens. But if you had a smaller team, you could basically just have them working on bringing Rogue Core and all of Rogue Core's updates to console in their own time, and that would just let Ghost Ship just do their thing without thinking about console. I think that's a good use of a smaller B team, actually, which is basically what Terraria has. Obviously, it's a separate studio. It's a separate studio. What?
Yeah, and I thought that. I was thinking like maybe they should outsource it to like a different studio, so then we get it. But no, because
no,
Deep Rock, you have to wait like 2 weeks into an update. Terraria, generally around half a year. Like
Terraria's in a different. Terraria's in a bit of a different place, and a very different place, especially to what Rogue Core will be, because that game's not even out yet. In fact, I would say there's a potential that DLG and Terraria will be more similar than DLG and Rogue Core as far as update cycles go. It's probably not even a lie. Oh God, I don't like that idea. But we'll just have to see. I mean, we're not going to see if there's any felt impact from them expanding their team until we actually get something out of them again. Until the next thing that happens, whether that's an update or just Rogue Core coming out. So, but it does interest me, and I think it's a very good thing. And they seem to. I hope they like their new studio. I want to see it. I want a full video tour. I want live camera. I want live camera feeds in every room.
Because I think during the stream they mentioned that like they're still building the stream room.
Yeah.
That they're streaming in the better quality streams, which should be cool. Could always also mean that bigger streams might be done a bit more regularly because it'll be easier to set up.
Yeah, maybe if the stream room is built with that kind of thing in mind, because I think every time they've done it, when you have when you have Mikkel and Soren in the hot seat, that's like every time that is basically a improvised thing. I'm pretty sure, or at least that wasn't. It's not specific. The area that they're using is not specifically made for that. Basically, do you just have your hand on your pussy, or are you just and you're not even like moving it, or are you?
It's just a very nice.
Oh,
my
nice. Hand. Okay, let's continue with this comment. What?
The one's only over there.
Wow.
In the corner.
My one is dead. That's not true. I don't know why I said that.
Such an insensitive joke, Harry.
Fuck you. wait. I want to be. I had the comments on screen for that. Fuck you. I'm glad your cat's dead. Now that should be fine because Tyler has told me very plainly that people should be able to joke about that kind of thing and not get upset about it.
I mean, I never said such a thing. He's lying.
Fucking pussy, he's crying because his cat's dead. Anyway, right. I just want to leave some condensed thoughts here, including a short version of shit I've said on this channel. Good. I will say, Moth Person, this still isn't short, right? I'm just going to be plain with you. This is not what I meant when I said to tighten it up, but we're still respecting the fact that you tried. Still respect. Okay. So on Rockpox, okay, it is still fairly well segmented, so let's sort of treat these as individual questions. Rockpox, they're still plainly unbalanced and can be trivial or unfightable depending on weapon choice. Neither of those are fun, in my opinion. Rockpox bombers are a very annoying addition, hard to kill in a frustrating way, and even more crowd control effects to an enemy group that doesn't need that in the slightest. Also, you can still just destroy the sacks and ignore it, which makes the rest tolerable, but is dumb as hell. Okay. I want to focus a bit more on the Goo Bomber thing, but yeah, Rockpox is fine. I think you're talking in a bit more of an extreme than it really is. I think you're not wrong. Sometimes you can just completely obliterate them, and sometimes you're just not really equipped. But it's never that bad. It's just not, I don't think, personally. It's difficult to be truly incapable of fighting Rockpox at this point. The Goo Bomber is the most annoying one by far. I'll give you that. The way it flies around and hides its weak points is not as satisfying as it probably should be. And I do think it's kind of dumb that it has the destructible balls, as the Goo Bomber does, as we all know, but it doesn't mean anything. So, and I can imagine you agreeing with me on this. I don't inherently agree with the choice to pick an enemy that previously had destructible weak points for a Rockpox enemy. I don't think that really made sense. I think something like the Brundle would have made more sense, which is the complete opposite of that. I wouldn't. Yeah, I just wouldn't pick something with destructible weak points. I don't think that was the right choice for the main flying Rockpox enemy, basically, because it's just weird. It's not different enough to what it was, but it's also completely different. So, good job on the Rockpox Goo Bomber. I can tell Tyler doesn't care about the Rockpox Goo Bomber. That's fine, by the way.
Not playing the game is I don't care about many things at this point, right? Like the actual gameplay of stuff, the emotions are pretty distant.
Yeah,
really. At least with Rock, I all-time low played wise when Rockpox is involved. I barely finished the pass of season 4.
Oh, you're not going to finish the Season 5 pass, by the way, which sounds insane, but the reason why you're not is because you literally have to get the scripts needed to finish the tree. The challenge that gives you scripts this season is do a double warning mission. That's how you get the scripts, and you have to do them to get the amount of script you need to finish the cosmetic tree. So even I am a long way off of that, to be honest. That's not in close proximity.
Even you.
Even me! Even this guy! Yeah! Okay, maybe jet boots, though. Also, actually, is this split across two? No, okay, it's a very condensed jet boot thing. Jet boots are really weird in how they just sort of make the mission really easy randomly. They would be more interesting as anomaly / corruptive thing / risk reward choice / whatever. Basic take on jet boots. It's weird that they randomly make the mission really easy. But you mentioned anomaly. I mean, is that not, it's the same thing though. So critical weakness is that. If you're taking that approach to as a criticism of jet boots, the fact that they randomly make a mission really easy. I think it's basically the same thing as the anomalies in that sense. It's not me saying that jet boots should be an anomaly.
It's going to be easier until you're halfway through it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've won. You open the box.
Yeah, it does. It is whiplash because you don't know about it. So when you find it, then suddenly you realise you're going to have an easy time and you didn't know beforehand. That there is a bit of a that does shift the tone of the mission a bit.
you could always not use it, which I don't like the argument. But if you actually don't like how easy the jet boots makes the game, that is an option.
No, that's actually a very fair argument that I haven't thought of because it
I mean, you
seemed
literally, even after equipping it, you can take them off.
you can also take them off.
Not many
Yeah,
other things.
it sounds trivial, that kind of argument, because it is trivial, but it doesn't mean invalid. But it is trivial, and that's kind of why I never thought of it. But it's actually very fair, especially when you're looking at a criticism that is comparing jet boots to anomalies. You can't take the anomaly off. That's what I'm saying, right? You can't.
Yeah, you knew about it going in, but if while you're in the middle of the game, you're like, this is a bit too easy, there's not much you can do about it other than leaving.
Yeah. And I don't like, I wouldn't use this as an argument either. The fact is, you know, when you get jet boots, you're definitely encouraged to use them because they're fun, right? And that's good. So there's not an argument there that you're sort of compelled to use them because they're fun and that sort of ruins how the mission works. It's like, if you genuinely believe that it makes it too easy, take them off. Or don't put them on, okay? But if you're there to have fun, which you should be, you know, that's what video games are for, then just embrace it. And you'll probably have a better time, I would say. If you just embrace the fact that you technically you could technically kill infinite amounts of grunts with jet boots. Just embrace that fact.
Yeah.
Just
them offensive. Change it up a little bit. See how well that goes for you. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not denying that they are without flaw. I think there are quite a few flaws despite the flyingness to them. But I don't know. I think them making the game too easy. I don't know. I think if anything, yeah. I mean, they're just.
Can you imagine if the normal jet boots were the deep scan jet boots?
Oh, that would be.
I don't know if I would agree more or less. I don't know if that would change my position. I don't or enhance it. You know.
The thing is realistically compared to those jet boots, the normal ones are like fucking hell. You can almost can't rely on them.
Yeah, comparatively, really. It really changes the. It's such a weird shift between the two.
Like, as a driller, you can now grab the red trigger at the top, but if you don't play your cards right, you could then run out of fuel and crash and burn and die.
Yeah, like, but then with the deep scan ones, if you were to take the same scenario, you could probably reach that red trigger 10 times over, and then even if you ran out of fuel, the fuel would be back like long before you hit the ground. You know, because they're so strong. The deep scan ones are stupid. I love them, but they're dumb as hell. They're so strong.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't know. With hindsight, it's like, you know, compared to those, the jet boots are very balanced.
Yeah, they are compared to those. Yeah, but obviously they're not because those are literally an exclusive part of a specific stage of a mission. Yeah. Okay. We're still on that comment though, but it's sort of a separate part. Now talking a little bit about Stalker. Stalker's taken from a discussion I had with OJB, who is another Deep Rock YouTuber, by the way. He's pretty cool. I'm actually subscribed to them. Not sure. Yeah. Not enough noises. Not enough noises from the Stalker. Disagree. I'll just say that. I think the noise aspect thing is fine with the Stalkers. I think it works just fine. But there is.
The thing is like, how often would you say you get hit by a Stalker? I'm asking you, and then I'm also asking the audience, right?
Oh shit!
You can answer. Oh, a cat.
I don't know if I can show that. Oh no, he's walking. He's walking past. I met Rupert yesterday. So Rupert, I don't think I've told this story on the podcast. I'm not going to tell the full story. But Rupert is a cat on my street. He's not a street cat. Someone owns him, but he's a cat on my street. Who's kind of a little shit. He broke into our house once. Well, the first time I let him in, but then he broke in afterwards. He climbed in through the upstairs window, and so that caused a lot of drama. And I called him Rupert because he looks like a Rupert. And yesterday I saw him, and I went up to stroke him, and he let me stroke him, and then I guess I stroked him a bit too much because he tried to bite me pretty quickly. I was like, oh yeah, nothing's changed. And I see him walking away, and I just see these massive testicles. So I can tell where it's coming from. He's had his balls for way too long. Way too long.
Yeah.
At least like way over a year. As an adult, I'm pretty sure as well, or at least a young cat. He's not a kitten at all.
He's owned. He's definitely meant to neuter him, right?
Yeah. And he's just got his big balls hanging out.
Like a goo bomber.
shut the fuck up. Stalkers. Well, you know what's weird about stalkers? I probably got hit less by them. Like right after season 5 launched. I probably get hit by them a bit more than I used to, and I think that's because they have they've seamed themselves in, what's the word, assimilated into the hordes.
Keeping a real sharp eye out, thinking about them constantly, like because they were just added. It's like we would hear the slightest sound we don't recognize,
And now
and we're like, that boss.
and now it's like they've been there the entire time, which I think is part of the idea. That's always, I feel like that's always like a secret, like a just an inherent gag tied to invisible enemies. You know, it's like he's been there the whole time. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I probably get hit by them more now.
What do you think the ratio? Like 10 missions, like if there is a stalker in the mission, what do you think your chances are of killing them before they hit you? Like
probably 40% chance. Probably slightly lower than 50. I probably get hit a bit more than I don't, to be honest, which is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
But sometimes when I play Deep Rock, I actually am and this is stupid, by the way, because sometimes I'm just listening to music separately. And the reason why that's stupid is because Deep Rock, I have found, especially because I've played so much of it, and therefore, you know, its soundtrack's amazing, but I know it too well, so it doesn't really do anything for me when I'm playing the game, except run, you know, or follow Molly. So it is really cool for me to turn the music off and play my own music through the Xbox, through Spotify. So you have, they're both at the same time. You have the game sound, but also my music at the same time. So it's really stupid that I listen to music on my phone while playing Deep Rock, because I just can't hear the game at all. And I get hit by stalkers a lot when doing that. But I think it's also rendered me numb to their presence a little bit as well. So I kind of just don't really, I don't know, I don't pick up on them as much as I used to. And I feel like an idiot for that. Because I am an idiot for that.
Yeah. Well, my point is,
I don't think it's done bad. There's nothing wrong with how it's done, as far as the cues go. They are,
yeah. Well,
like, identifying them is fine.
like,
They make enough sound. They are visible enough for me. I can see them. I'm trained on Halo camouflage. The way that looks, it's basically the same. So I can see it quite easily. Actually, it's basically the same thing.
My point is, like, if you think that they're too strong because they hit you too many times, how many is the right amount of times? Because if you think the answer is they should never be able to hit you, then wrong. So like, how often?
Yeah, I guess
like,
so.
Could the Stingtail be able to hit you?
The Stingtail.
Well, yeah, no, thingy. But I think that goes for kind of everything. Like grunts. Generally speaking, grunts shouldn't hit you that often, right? I think like
grunts
if it's just a grunt,
grunts are, I think, are the enemy that should hit you the least. Because swarmers definitely should. I think that's the point. They're supposed to get up to you, get past the other enemies because they're harder to hit from a distance. Grunts are definitely the thing that's meant to hit you the least, for sure.
Individually, eventually, once there's like tons of them, then you know a couple's going to get through. But
yeah, I'll say though,
enemies are a lot more likely and meant to hit you, like a Trijaw, right? I think Trijaws are very much hitting you machines. But I think the Stalker are probably about 50-50 is right, I think. Like, sometimes you catch him, sometimes you don't. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think no matter what, it does keep you on your toes. It's not like it's not like the problem goes away just because it's hit you once. It's like you're both on your toes because you've caught on to the fact there's a stalker nearby, and you're also on your toes because even if you just got jumped by it without even knowing it was there before, because now you're, first of all, not only are you on the back foot because your shield's been disabled, but you also know there's a stalker around. So that's ultra panic because it might have got you while you're fighting other enemies, but you also now know there's a swarmer, like a stalker around while you're fighting other stuff, which is also almost compounds the tension that it can generate. So I mean, look, I'm a bit of a stalker fan. I'm a bit of a stan. You could say that.
Yeah, well, 2's coming out soon. It's that good.
Stalker 2.
So...
No, I've literally never played Stalker. I should just say that. We're not done. There's more to say about the Stalker. Very annoying texture that gets horrible at low graphic settings, or if you have eye problems, or even like in Glacial Strata. Should probably look more like the one from the slightly more visible Stalkers mod. You can go check the mod.io page to see how it looks. So, but what is that? Because obviously there's like two ways the Stalker looks. There's like the full invisibility and then the half, like when it's got the blue outline. I feel like probably referring to the blue outline with this, I'd imagine, right? Because that's the more visible one, and therefore more likely to fuck with your eyes, I guess. But that's a little bit finicky, especially when you're talking about it not responding well to low graphic settings. It's not the kind of thing I would necessarily say should be considered, unfortunately, from a game design perspective. I think, as far as like the baseline design of the Stalker goes, I don't think there's anything wrong with how it's presented. So it's kind of a bit of a trivial thing to consider.
If a thing looks weird in a game like this, kill it. Like, if you can see it and it looks weird, kill it, and then it'll be dead, and you won't have to look at it anymore.
Yeah, it's true. And turn the enemy ragdolls down to low, short-lived as well.
Yeah, which I mean, you might have to do that anyway, because we had to, didn't we? Like instantly.
I love that. I love that principle. If it looks weird, kill it.
Well, that's what the maggots on the walls, the eyes, so forth, right?
Hoxie's crawlers. That's a jarring creature. That I want to kill at every opportunity. Oh god, so this is actually getting into exactly what it does. So the instant 1.8 times slasher damage plus slow plus shield disruption and kill effect is crazy punishing, even considering that it's supposed to be punishing. Mind you, exploders have 5 times the counterplay options. Even if you get caught off guard, you can fucking walk away, and not a person on God's green terror complains that they're too easy. Also, the gimmick inherently means you always get hit out of nowhere, because if you saw it coming, you wouldn't have been hit. That, plus basically imminent death, isn't fun. Well, I don't know. Stalkers, they don't really cause imminent death. Way of putting it. They're not insta-killers.
Basically,
and I know you're not saying they are insta-killers, but kind of are.
They're basically saying that if you don't stop them from hitting you, they have 100% chance to hit you. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah. And the exploders thing, by the way, no one complains about how easy exploders are, because exploders are, for all intents and purposes, actually just big explosive swarmers. They come in groups. They're meant to be super easy to kill, but if you get caught off guard in the right circumstances, they do obliterate you. It does happen. It's been known to happen.
Exploder infestation leads into, right? Because they don't just spawn more exploders. They actively mute the exploder sounds, right?
Yeah.
Like, that they clearly knew what they were doing with them being fucking, like, sneaky bombers.
And the difference is there, with a Stalker, it never spawns more than one at a time. I think you can potentially have more than one around, but they spawn on their own. They don't spawn in groups like exploders do.
And if you do get hold of them, they basically go down like a sack of shit, right?
Yeah.
At least they're not like a...
Yeah.
They stick around even after you catch them.
No.
Fucking menaces.
Yeah. Last bit of this comment. I'll leave it here for brevity. Oh, okay. It's just Okay, it's just referring to, because this was a discussion they had with another YouTuber in their comments. So, you can go look at that if you want on OJBs. In fact, I might find that video and link it in the description potentially. Anyway,
or look at the post, because that'll have the link.
Yeah.
Right.
What I did do. What was this for? It was for a drilling in the name of thing. Oh yeah, it was on the Overclock showcase for conductive thermals. I linked drilling in the name of video about conductive thermals, because that was an amazing video. A video that you should watch, Tyler. not for informative purposes. Because basically what they did, they did an experiment where they achieved the highest amount of damage, like, in one shot possible in the game, and it was like 30-something thousand, I'm pretty sure. So they did some real science.
I think I saw the beginning of that, and I think someone else did the science, and then they just did the video.
You can skip to the end as well. That works just fine because it's cool to see because they do it to a bolt detonator with volatile bullets, and they basically just stack the effect as much as possible. It's kind of wild. It's pretty cool. Anyway, we're on to the first comment that you're reading. So yeah, well, it's actually 2 in 1, isn't it? As long as you're seeing the right thing.
Let's find out. Yeah, it looks it.
Because this is
Alright,
about
how do I say that?
This is about combustive goo mix, which is the new sludge pump overclock. That's important to note.
All right. A egg Eska one
Probably a guess
says blah blah. Many of the best combos in the game requires 2 dwarfs. It is a co-op game, and with someone who can reliably apply burning, this is incredible. We'll talk about both.
I think both are. I put them together for a reason.
Yeah. ITQ 2884. That's a fella's born in the future. This overclock would be great if Wave Cooker had a flame themed modification. It's fun, but relying too much on Burning Nightmare feels kind of bad.
Tyler, if you're saying if you're saying if the numbers in people's names is automatically their birth date, that guy's born in the future, and Ageska is born on the 1 AD.
Yeah, he's a year younger than Jesus H. Christ.
Yeah.
But I just want to slip in. I like how that guy said that the Wave Cooker had a flame theme. It was good. Not Wave Cooker and Sabata. He doesn't give a shit that the Sabata can't ignite it. He does not care. He just wants to use the Wave Cooker. And for that, respect. That is the correct opinion.
Okay. But the reason why I packaged these two together is because, first of all, they're about the same thing, which is the new sludge pump overclock, which I've done my piece on. I've done that video. It's I'll keep it simple. That overclock is good, but frustratingly pointless. That's the best way to put it. And that kind of vibe could be really changed if it wasn't so limited as well. It's both it's a pretty redundant effect that is completely constricts you to like one, not one build necessarily. You could use different overclocks if you wanted to on the EPC, but you have to use the EPC and you have to use that tier 5 upgrade to activate it in solo. Obviously, the first comment addresses that solo thing, and the second one addresses other ways that we might have to do it. So the first one is like, oh, it's easy, if you have someone with you. Don't care. I don't care, basically.
I feel like
you're not wrong. It would make it easier. What?
Like, I feel like you're now just using 2 people to do a thing. Like, it's not that great. It was barely worth doing when it was just one person doing it, and now 2 people are working towards this thing. Yeah, and now it's even less worth time.
Yeah, if you're going to do something like that, it needs to be more rewarding. And basically, every other example of comboing is not only more achievable in solo anyway, but it's also more rewarding, right? You can very easily achieve you can very easily achieve what you want out of volatile bullets in solo, and it's also much better. It's much more useful. The same goes for like all of the Wave Cooker combos as well. You don't need other people to get them to happen, but they're also better. And they're also not as limited, really, because there aren't really any other overclocks that do this necessarily. Volatile bullets technically does. I will say that volatile bullets technically does limit you to like, you need this thing if you want to do this. But Gunner has Burning Hell. He has ways of setting enemies on fire with the flamethrower without Burning Hell. The Hurricane has fire, and there's also incendiary grenades. So combustive goo mix just kind of comes off as a very, very strained existence for an overclock, because it's not like it's insultingly bad or even close to that, but it also doesn't even come close to justifying its existence either, which is a very weird position. It's not like Reatomizer. Actually, no, it is. Sorry, it is like Reatomizer, actually, which is not like a downgrade, but it's also, still completely pointless. It's kind of annoying, and I don't like the idea of relying on your teammates. I think my co-op experiences do not tend to come down to really well thought out combos between players, aside from the traversal stuff, which is kind of just subconscious, where we can help each other traverse pretty easily. So it's not something that Overclock should really hinge on, in my opinion. And that's all I have to say about combustive goo mix.
I have a thing to say. We are lucky Slice Pump didn't need an overclock, really.
Yes, you actually okay. That's actually not a well. I don't like that as a potential defense of combustive goo mix, but
not a defense.
it's not like a silver lining, I guess. Cope, yeah, it's cope.
Yeah,
it's cope, but it's true. It's true.
Is that ultimately, unlike a certain other gun or a certain other couple guns, you weren't crossing fingers hoping for the love of God, please be interesting or cool or good. And it was more like, I mean, the Slice Pump's got everything already. What could they possibly add? And it turns out they added not much worth talking about. But, I mean, that's the one thing it didn't have, an overclock not worth using. So, actually, that's a lie. It had Goo Bomber.
And some people definitely argue. Some people argue like neither of the cleans were even worth using.
Okay. Well, they can cry alone in a hole in the ground, because no one loves them.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Next. Oh, I didn't realize we were back here already. Oh God. Okay. Moth person, you see this big chunk? I am going to called Misk Yap. We're going to cut out Misk Yap, miscellaneous Yap. Okay. We'll do the rest though. So let's start with
only
Moth
we
person.
get some miscellaneous Yap in this podcast. All right.
Yeah. Actually, so it's actually just this part. Okay, let's just focus on this. This isn't too much from Moth person again. Cleaned up, too long didn't read for other people's ease of use in case you two still want to say something about it in like a reply or something. Oh, well, we're doing it here. And this is about Stingtails at first. It's actually all about Stingtails. Stingtails being blindly hit with massive stat nerfs was lazy and didn't address frustrating aspects of the enemy. And the Stingtails air control debuff removes counterplay and forces you to tank a heavy hitting combo when the pull is inherently very dangerous as is. So let's stop there. That's basically about the Stingtail nerfs being lazy, which I think we've kind of been through that before, and it's probably a fair assessment actually.
They didn't have the time, effort, or energy to do it properly. It was the maintenance update. They were supposed to be working on Road Core, but it was probably about this time that they were realizing this maintenance update was a bad idea. We're not getting like anything done. We barely made any progress on Road Core. We are behind, and so they were just like, "Fuck it, let's just nerf basically everything anyone's complained about on this thing, and then call it a day." And then they're like, "All right, see you later," and they walked out, and then they
got a visual gag. Got a fish. Go on, get up and leave.
All right, I'll leave.
Oh, you don't get to. And he's back. I paused it, so that means you basically teleported back in, which I think is pretty cool.
That's what they do at Ghost Ship.
I thought you said that's what they do teleport in Star Trek, and I was gonna,
Well, they do that too, but
beam you for
with
it.
beams.
Yeah, beam me up, snotty. Who's the guy who does it in whatever it's called, The Next Generation? Did you just say?
It was mostly O'Brien.
Yeah, there you go. Star Trek talk, everyone.
It was, yeah.
Actually, okay, I'm just gonna, because we've already done a lot of it, let's skip to your suggested nerfs and buffs for the Stingtail. Suggested nerfs. No stun mercy period. It's a nerf. Stun mercy period. I don't actually know what that is. Fucking idiot.
Basically, she's a character from Overwatch, and at a certain time
and
of the
stun and just fucking. That's fire. No / much shorter air control debuff. I think that's basically your control over your movement in the air. Okay. Only 10-meter range, bigger and brighter tail with stronger cues. That last part, sure, makes perfect sense. Actually, I'm not gonna take that away from you. Why not? Make it easier to see. I think that's fine. I think, especially if you can somehow cast your mind back to season 4 teasers and the first Stingtail one, definitely seemed like something that was going to make its presence very visual in the cave, in my opinion. And I think a truly glowing tail, like a really obvious glowing tail, would work almost like an anglerfish type thing. Sure, why not? Can you stop sneezing? Stop.
I know
It's like
stuffy.
you're like firecracker coughing. I'm like disgusted.
Need to open the window.
All right. Suggested buffs for the Stingtail. Very low stun duration. Oh, this okay. Yeah, right. Buffs. Health reverted to release HP from 400 to 600. Tail cooldown after hitting a grab decreased from 15 seconds to 7.5 seconds. Faster during post hit grab. I'm not sure what that is. I will say, yeah, don't increase the Stingtail's health. What's he doing?
You know what? You know when people have a standing desk.
No, I don't actually. What?
What, you've not heard of a standing desk?
I probably seen it. Probably seen it. I don't know what that
In all
is.
fairness, I think I've only ever seen it in like a couple American sitcoms, like The Office or Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Point is, it's healthier, and I'm all about my health.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, basically, I think the problem with the Stingtail is that they just nerfed it instead of made it more better to play against. So now it still kind of sucks just as much, but is easier to kill. That's really it. Not
that
just as hard to kill, but a bit more engaging.
Not that they should revert that change. I think it should still be as easy to kill as it is. Because I'll concede. While I think it's in an okay place, I'll concede if anything should be done to the Stingtail, it should still probably be nerfs somehow. But they should be more elaborate, if any. That's not going to happen though. I think our verdict is the same as probably what Ghost Ship's internal verdict is that they pretty want to move on from the Stingtail.
Yeah.
So let's stop talking about it. And start talking about. Let's talk about the Corruptor, Tyler. Come on, read the comment.
All right, I've met this guy a couple times.
You've met him.
Bit of a dick.
Oh, the Corruptor.
Yeah, and oh, is it my comment? Is that what you told me, or just you wanted my take?
No, this is you. This is your. Yeah, you gotta read it. You gotta read the comment.
Is it Cami Cakes?
Yes, it is.
I still think the Corruptor is a pain. The worst part is that swarms can still occur while you're fighting it. On mining operations, I once went through 2 swarms while fighting it, and it completely drained our nitra to the point we were unable to kill it.
So this is from the... Actually, this could be from either the events tier list or the boss fights tier list. Doesn't really matter where it came from necessarily. I'll say, though, this is just a good principle. We don't really need to talk about the Corruptor. It's just a good principle. Most things... Almost everything should stop swarms from spawning, I think. Just as a baseline. And that's especially because it's not like many game modes do, you know? I guess it's more than it used to be. It's mining, expedition, on-site refining, deep scan, and point extraction. But I think it should definitely apply, and I think that the corruptor. The corruptor's a weird one actually with that though, isn't it? Because the corruptor's one of the only things that runs away and sometimes does leave you in an okay position. That wasn't a call for another visual gag. But it does, doesn't it? You know, sometimes the corruptor is just away enough from you to just carry on with what you were doing. So it's kind of a weird ask, because basically what would happen if you made it so that swarms couldn't spawn while fighting a corruptor? You could essentially have to be in a position where the corruptor has run away from you and kind of just carry on with the mission free from swarms. So it's kind of not... I don't know. It's not actually a change I would suggest, I don't think, for the corruptor, which is annoying because I would like to make the corruptor a better time, but that somehow isn't actually a way to do it. But that's kind of a flaw baked into the corruptor's event design. So, yeah. There's always more to it.
With, season 4, it's just kind of like a foundational. Why'd you do that?
No, why'd you do that?
What reason?
None.
Alrighty.
Corruptor talk. Oh, that's a great name to talk about refining. So this is from Mr. Jack. Mr. Jack 3855. Wow, he's really born in the future. On-site refining is downright miserable sometimes. You have pump jacks in areas that are difficult to access unless you're a driller, so it takes forever just digging there because there isn't a way around. Great. Yeah, sometimes on-site refining is...
Dude,
I didn't find it miserable.
It's literally, if you're a scout, the fuck are you meant to do? Gunner ain't much better either.
Meant to be cool and take advantage of what the environment offers you. It's true though, and I don't blame those people. Yeah, I don't blame scout and gunner mains. I'm gonna be honest, I see it not as a point of pride, but I do enjoy it when I happen to be a driller on on-site refining and I can just circumvent the challenge. I'm just like, I just have full mastery over the terrain. I find satisfaction in that, even if it results in me building a boring pipeline. You know, it's like I am in control. The landscape bends to my will, in an extreme fashion, and I don't think that's the opposite of fun. I just think that's something that could just happen, and that's fine. I mean, they're drills, and that's why we love the drills, because sometimes they trivialize. Sometimes they trivialize things. In fact, they almost trivialize every objective. To an extent, when you really think about it, the drills are kind of nuts. Let's get nuts.
That's why I play driller.
That's why I play driller. He's nuts.
It really is though. Like, I could change all the weapons. I would love to give up the satchel charge. As long as I've got the drills, I don't care.
Oh my god! I mean, that would be one of the best things, wouldn't it? Having the drills.
Roll call. I mean I mean,
there's no way that's not going to be something achievable, right? There's no way the drills aren't going to be in it, and therefore, you'd be able to have a situation where you are a driller. Don't wipe your nose on your bed sheets on camera.
What else am I meant to do?
What do you mean? You're meant to use tissues.
I don't have tissues in my room.
But he does have he's got salt. I always have tissues in my pockets. So I'll try and offer this to you.
Paper.
Oh man. But yeah, just like...
My optics have got a paper, but it only fucking happens when we're recording. Literally. And my nose just stuffs up when I go on facecam with you. It's fine. You know,
it's because I'm taking up all the nose. I'm taking up all...
Yeah. You're like draining my nose. You're a nose vampire. No, nasal Ferratu.
Oh, I had a... Do you mean nose Ferratu? You fucking dipshit. It's already there.
Complicated.
I had a moment with
Yeah.
Speaking of vampires, I had a moment with Asterion that I didn't expect.
Did you fuck the vampire,
Yeah,
Harry?
tell you what, I would say your hair is getting dangerously close to Asterions right now. I don't know what you did.
I tied it back.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, I think it's. I think it's better not tied back, personally, if I'm allowed to say that. If you were tied it all back, it's the side. Whatever.
It's not
So
all
I'm
back
sure
yet.
you have had. Whoa, that was lit. That was fire. You like Nori from The Hobbit? Do you remember Nori with the starfish hair?
A little bit, yeah. Is he the young one?
No, but he's his older brother. He's the middle one. Anyway, have you had Asterion with you when you kicked the squirrel?
No,
Because if you
I don't
do,
think so.
he starts like exclaiming. He's like, "Oh, look what you've done! Why have you done this? You spoiled a good meal." I was like, "Oh dear." I'm surprised how long it did actually take me until the you know the sentence turned for me to realise that he didn't care about the squirrel itself. I did for a moment think, oh, God, he's actually an animal lover. What a bitch.
No,
Oh well.
it's only allowed to eat animals most
Anyway,
of the time.
we've got another on-site refining take. This time for you to read.
Righty then. Alright. From John Muth 5020.
Jesus
Man,
Christ!
we're going
I love
far in the future.
this gag.
It's not a gag, that's how I thought this worked.
No, it's not.
The main problem.
Shut up.
Well, generally, sometimes it is. The main problem with on-site refining is that it's too linear after the pumps are started. If the pipe segments could be broke by the bugs and they actually had to be defended, it would be more interesting / intense. We'll get back to that.
Yes, we
I
will.
would also make each contribute 1/3 of the needed amount and allow them to pump regardless of the other pipes needing repaired. But the first thing is the main. Right.
Well,
That's changed
they're
things
basically they're
slightly.
both the same thing. The second part speaking to like elaboration on the main change. So it's
Yeah.
really
So
just the
basically,
idea. Yeah,
yeah, a pipeline can be properly broken by the glyphids, but
by
it
bugs
won't completely stop everything. It's
spontaneously.
basically the meteorite event, right?
Yeah.
It's split into three.
Now I would
Which
say no. I want to
honestly,
actually you carry on.
I think honestly that is a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with on-site refining, but I think they didn't think of this. I think it's probably more accurate.
Well, okay. So there's a chance. So I was for some reason, and I guess this makes me a bit of a Schrodinger's douchebag, but I was kind of going to go down the lane of him being a bit of an idiot. If you did, because it just sounds like a weird like wanting it to be more like escort duty, and I don't think that's actually what it is. To be fair, so I've changed my tune a little bit. There's a good chance that Ghost Ship did think of this though, because if you think about it, that would be very hard to program when you're dealing with the fact that there can be a vast like range of lengths of the pipelines, and therefore the amount of breaks that could happen, and how that would affect the overall amount. That's probably very complicated to code.
I guess there's probably a middle ground. They don't actually break them, right? I think they do what they currently still do, but the glyphids do actually cause it, unlike currently where it just decides and they're just all broken randomly spread throughout, and then the glyphids seem to attack them for some reason, right? It's just that the glyphids actually attack the pipes and you do actually have to protect them. But you know, if you want to just like concentrate on one pipe, that technically would work, but it would take forever or stuff like that.
I do think there is a bit of a problem with actually that segment of on-site refining. Not inherently because it's linear. Obviously, these changes would make it much less linear, but because it's very one note, you don't really get attacked. To be honest, first of all the bugs kind of just crowd around the brakes, and you can kind of just go to them and just kill all the bugs because they're just attacking a pipeline they're not even damaging, and then just repair it. And it's kind of that is definitely the weakest part of that mission, I think. And I think that would change a lot if it worked in this way. if the bugs were actually doing it. It would force you to actually be paying attention to the pipelines and using them more frequently. I think
Also, this is an idea outside all of this.
Oh, can't do that.
A broken segment, the pipe, the rail above it also breaks. Would be nice. So you know how you're like going along, and then you glide straight past the thing you were supposed to get off on. This time now, it's broken, and so you get off automatically at the broken part. I think that would be nice.
Sure,
I want that.
Yeah, that's probably a bit easier.
That's
probably a bit easier to implement.
Put that on. I'll go ship. Come on.
Shut up. Shut up. Oh god, you're gonna like this. This is from Dawid Janik 545. Okay, I absolutely
all in the year 5000.
No, it's tied. It's five. It's 545. It's 500.
Oh, they're old.
I absolutely despise point extraction, especially solo. People say I'm supposed to finish it as fast as possible before the swarms get larger, but the upward cave generation for some biomes and event spawning make it impossible. For which there is a response from Joe Mama. For me, it's the most hit or miss mission. Really fun when playing Driller, but when playing any other class at any complexity above 1 or maybe 2, it sucks. Well, it's not like you don't have lots of experience playing point extractions as Driller specifically, because you certainly do. But I don't think there's a class disparity for point extraction. I think one of the best things about that mission type is that it complements them all quite well for different reasons.
I think I prefer Driller is the best. I think as a whole because he can everyone can basically do anything. Technically, the furthest away being Scout, where if it's on the ceiling, and the Scout doesn't have hover boots, he's gonna have a bit of a hard time.
Yeah,
right?
It's still possible, by the way, though. I'll say in those situations. And Scout's role in point extraction is obvious. You can just get it. You can just do things very quickly, and that's good for point extraction.
Yeah, but if they're on their own, I'm thinking there is referring to solo by the sounds of it, right? Because if there's two of you, then I think that basically invalidates most things, right? If there's two different dwarves, at least one of them is capable of dealing with something in there, right? But Driller, I think universally he could deal with the quarks being anywhere, fast, basically.
For the most part, Even in the worst places, you can potentially do it. You just gotta mark it and just go with your gut. Just drill into the wall. Go. Oh, I hit my fucking windowsill. Just go up and around. You can do it. It's very doable. And obviously, it's not even like it's all the time that there are literally essential quarks in the ceiling, at the top of a tall cave. That's not actually that common either. So, which is why I wouldn't call it a hit or miss. I think sometimes point extractions can be noticeably more difficult when there are multiple quarks literally in the ceiling in a very tall cave. That can happen. But I wouldn't call it a hit or miss, because point extractions, they're never that full either, though. Events can be a bit of a problem with them, but I feel like you never really get more than one thing, though, if you do, though, you know? I feel like I've never really gotten multiple events on a point extraction. Which is good, because obviously it doesn't play well with events, which is not a good thing itself, but still. It's weird. I mean, I know we like it. I can't remember. I think it was. Do you remember where it was in the tier list? It was A or B. Though I know that. So definitely A or B.
Probably B, because you're not a huge fan.
Well, I mean, I like it. I like point extraction. I'm not a liar. I
Yeah, you are.
Fuck.
Sorry, you don't like it that much.
I actually hate point extraction with my guts. Fucking awful.
There we go. The truth comes out.
Alright, go on. Read this next one. I actually wanted to avoid. I don't know why I wanted to avoid you reading this one, but only because it's a very it's a more me specific reference, I guess. So we can keep this quick. Go on.
Alright. Red U E 2 DK.
2 Donkey Kong.
A2 shreds your ammo economy. It makes you waste shots every time.
Every time.
It's even lower DPS with its lower burst interval. Really, its main benefit is to make the GK2 feel like the Halo rifle,
Which it
which
doesn't.
I feel like
It doesn't.
right. Well, like, well, you're right. This is probably more you centric. It's just called a burst gun. Like, just like it's
Well,
not just a Halo rifle.
that's what I'm saying.
Other burst weapons exist.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't feel any more like the battle rifle than any burst weapon in any game I've ever used. Um,
Yeah.
what I would say is what would be really cool, because I think one of the main, honestly, one of the most iconic things about the battle rifle is probably its reticle, actually. And I think it would have been cool for burst fire for the GK2 to be one of the few reticle changing overclocks. That might be kind of neat. A reticle that is more befitting of a burst weapon. Problem there is,
I think that would change the bad concerns. I think people would stop complaining about the terrible DPS and ammo economy if there was a different pattern in the middle of their screen. I think that would.
I never claimed it would alleviate those issues. Okay, I never said that. It would also make the GK2 a bit of a hog because it's already got one of those AI stability engine. So, you can't have them all. You greedy bastard. Look, he's checking his invisible watch.
Oh, I'm checking the war wounds from my fucking cat. Look at
Oh,
there.
God.
He's trying killing me.
Yeah, look at my wounds. Oh, there's none because my cat's not a bitch.
Well, one of them doesn't, but Echo, he gets a bit excited, and I like tickling his belly, which is a bad combination. And that results in wounds of various degrees. But yeah, no. I have probably used that overclock like twice.
Oh yeah, I was about to say.
I mean,
I wasn't even sure if you used it, but I think that's actually Smart Trigger. It's the one that you
I
kind of wanted to use, but didn't.
I've not used. I've not used the Loki, new Loki, either of the stubby ones. The Hurricane one haven't used. I haven't even used the Thunderhead one.
Ooh.
I've not used the big bloaty ones. Probably about it though. Actually, I haven't used the Drac or the M1000, so that's
about
not
it. No, no.
I have used all of the Jellas.
This is why we haven't actually done that tier list.
I didn't like 2 or 3 of them, so that bodes well.
Might have to do that tier list myself. Moving on. This is from oh my god, Adione 7368. We're going even further into the future. Tyler, you can't do visual gags when I'm showing a comment that's taking up the entire screen. Can't do visual.
I'm visual gagging myself.
I'm good. They didn't see that either. You didn't see that.
You can hear it though, right?
With Duck and Cover, my opinion was cemented when literally 20 web splitters spawned at once while I was killing 4 spitballers. Legit worse than that shield disruption and low O2 combined. Wrong! That sounds quite blunt, but what I mean by that is that Duck and Cover. What did you say? Duck and Cover is not. It's not worse than shield disruption and low O2. That is really rude. Duck and Cover is cool. Duck
It's
and Cover
evil.
is lit as fuck.
Like, yeah, you know those villains that know they're evil and fucking enjoy it, right?
Dr. Doom.
They're just going around. Oh, dead. Oh, people like that.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
Cover. Yeah. Duck and Cover is jacking off in a porn theatre, right?
Oh, right, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shield Disruption thinks it's doing some righteous cause. It's a Thanos, right? He's going around like, oh yes, this is for the greater good. It's like, no, it's not. You're a dick. And that's the difference. Duck cover is evil, but he knows it. He's having a gay old time.
I don't appreciate the Thanos slander though, because Thanos is like categorically one of the hardest characters of recent times. So
yeah, but he was fucking stupid.
He was stupid. He was stupid, actually.
He's like, I need to half the population. Yeah, but why don't you give infinite resources? You have the power to do that too, you stupid motherfucker.
Yeah, he would probably have like a really dumb argument as to why that wouldn't work, but he just doesn't. And it would be right, but there would also be just as many arguments for why his method isn't right either. He'd be like, but it's too many resources. It'd be too much stuff, and the economies would implode.
Yeah. Oh no, everything's free. But you says he, in the second movie, he's like, oh, I have the power to basically rewrite the universe. I was like, if he has that much power, there's surely a better solution than killing half the population.
Honestly, so what happened? This is why are we getting into? I don't mind. That's fine. I think I don't mind this podcast becoming. It's always going to be deep rock, but if we start going on weird tangents, that's actually not a bad thing. So in Endgame, basically, reduxed Thanos, the one that's brought over from the past, basically, and finds out about the fate that befalls him. He comes up with the idea to instead use the stones, use the Infinity Gauntlet to destroy the entire universe and start again, basically. That's actually a better idea. It's much harsher. It's horrible, but I think that is better than his other idea, though. Genuinely.
And I think it's inherently cool that, the second one is original comic book Thanos, right? Like, I think comic book Thanos, he doesn't give a shit about people. He just wants to end fucking everything to impress Death, I'm pretty sure, because Death is a goth mummy in the Marvel universe. So he's
would you know?
The entire, of course I would. I would kill the entire universe to impress you, my Dommy mummy Death mummy.
Shut the fuck up!
And
actually, you know what? I take it back. No more tangents. No more tangents.
Getting absolutely involved by Deadpool because Death fucking loves Deadpool, but they can't be together because Deadpool's always comes back to life, and that is comic books. Which I don't read them, but I like them. And the moral of the story is...
I actually feel the exactly same about comic books.
Duck and cover is fun, even though it isn't, and I hate it. It has all of the enemies I hate the most.
Duck and cover is fun, though, because it's got balls. It's not just making you weaker or making the game more tedious. What it's actually doing is saying, fuck it, here's a cartoonish, proportion of enemies, basically, that you just don't see.
Do you want to 50 acid spitters on your ceiling? If the answer to that question is yes, Duck and cover is here. And then you go in, and it is the most. It is literally like point and laugh funny. Like when you see an absolute horde of fucking acid spitters come around a corner.
I
you're
like
gonna
it.
die.
Well, but you're not, because you're not though, because only a couple of them actually shoot you. Because there's that weird thing that's seems to be definitely real, that there is a cap to how many ranged enemies can shoot at the same time. So, I doubt anyone from Ghost Ship's listening at this point, but if you somehow are, I do want to know if that's real. Speaking of things that I don't really know if they're real or not in the game, we've got another comment.
Whose is it?
Shade Scarecrow. No number this time.
Yeah. He's just exists. Although it does say 1 month ago, so maybe as soon as he was born, he typed this comment.
It's his birth certificate.
I hate the Omen Tower, but I can at least understand your reasoning for putting it high up. But Betsy, utter F tier garbage. Fighting her isn't that fun, and even on your side, that shitty thing is more of a detriment than a help, pushing you off ledges and shit. Oh, then just don't revive her. Oh, sure, but then she comes back to life at some point and haunts you again. Not to mention the annoying beeping. Now, I'm gonna just quickly... Is that true?
No.
If you leave Betsy... Okay.
So, well, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because we're kind of like by saying no, I'm just immediately downplaying this guy's dreams because that's where it came to him in a dream. That's his source. But I do find it interesting that it did.
With patrol bots, because they do that.
Well,
If
yeah,
you don't hack a patrol bot,
that's true. Patrol bots do that. But I looked earlier. I actually wanted to make sure because when I was collecting these comments yesterday, I did think to myself, do I know for certain that this doesn't happen? I might not know that because,
you'd never have left it.
Not, or at least not long enough. I don't think I've ever left a Betsy completely. Not that I haven't. Sometimes I haven't done it immediately, but maybe I genuinely haven't ever just left a Betsy alone completely. That could be a thing for all I know. It's not. Or at least according to, there's nothing on the wiki that suggests that happens. So I would like to know your source.
And if it was some sort of hallucination.
But it would be interesting. I mean, I don't think I would like to see some kind of small expansion on Betsy because I want to know those suckers, the parasites. I want to know where they come from. Do they crawl around? Maybe they must do. And I guess they could just more of them could just show up after a while. Or I don't know. Maybe it's like actually that's a terrible idea, don't worry. You look confused and concerned.
Yeah, well what did we put Betsy as? Because it wouldn't have been high.
I don't think it was, well, it might have been C. I mean, with the tier list, D is the lowest and does mean bad, but I think we put him in C. B at highest. So it was C or B.
Well, the thing is, he says Omen Tower. He understands our reasoning for putting it high up, but Betsy, implying we put it high up.
I know, it does. It does imply
and
that.
I know for a fact, if it did go high up, it's your fault.
Oh no.
Take that fucking piece of shit.
Oh shit, we're at 1.04 subscribers, finally. 1,000.
Let's go, gamers.
1,000, I should say. Gamers. I guess, well, hold on, because Betsy's a weird one, because Betsy might be in both the random encounters and the boss fights tier list. I actually want to know if that's the case, first of all. Yeah, and that's not where... That is where the comment came from as well. It's on the encounters tier list, and Betsy is in B.
The middle?
Yeah.
That's fine. Not high up.
No, it's not, is it?
I mean,
B can go either way. Really.
Sure, it should be an F, then there is a gap there, but I mean, it's not like we're like, yeah, Betsy, let's go.
Yeah.
No.
No. All right. Let's shit on another machine event. This comes from Arapala. Where do these people get their names? Arapala 1142. They say Curse Sight is the worst because of acid spitters. Their AI is so fucking annoying because they always hang out somewhere out of view or in a spot if they fall into a pit or extremely hard to get the stupid Curse Sights. Also, I probably never had a Curse Sight in a spot that's not somewhere high up on a damn cliffside. So that's their Curse Sight take. Understandable. Because we feel it's just that's basically we would have said that as well. It just happens. Curse Sight's kind of not great. And we acknowledge that. And it's because of that. Curse Sight with Praetorians is fine. The other two is not, though. Both the Acid Spitters and the Max Errors. Bro disagrees. What's the word? Bro disagrees.
The cogs of your brain turning there.
I'm thinking of the one with the cat where it's shaking its head.
Isn't that it?
No, yeah, it's like... yeah, well, see, this is the difference between when we agree with someone and when we don't. Because when we disagree, we actually say stuff.
Yeah.
With the person.
If a commenter just says we agree with, I mean, it's kind of like,
Yeah. Maybe they have something that we disagree with. Ebonite's pretty cool, kind of easy, but there's no bullshit reason to fail it. Damn it, that's so rational. Damn it. That's so reasonable.
We can't kill anything there.
What's wrong with you, man? Why can't you just say something that we disagree with? And that's where it comes from. That's how we get
bullshit.
Yeah. Stupid bullshit. Like, Omen is maybe the best challenge. Maybe the best challenge-wise. The Little Drones Tower is the hardest tower it can have, and a cool strategy with digging moats, platforms, or zip lines to avoid the floor beams. There's a lot of shit you need to pay attention to, so I think outside enemy spawns ruin it a lot. Also, some loadouts can struggle against dealing enough damage to finish it, mainly just Driller, but if you have teammates that didn't die, it shouldn't matter as much. So actually, overall, very fine assessment of the Omen. But I will say, I've never had outside enemies be a problem with an Omen, except maybe in a point extraction. I've never. They don't really show up, so I can't really agree with that. The Omen tends to be pretty contained.
Will the Omen kill them all?
Hmm?
I've never seen the Omen actually damage other enemies.
I think it technically can, but it doesn't.
I would have thought it can, but I've never seen it occur.
Which honestly, I really wish the Omen did, because that would be really cool. Because obviously, the idea behind it is that it's malfunctioning, right? But in my opinion, it should kill everything. So if enemies do happen to show up, it'd be cool if that was actually a good thing, and the Omen started focusing on them and tore them apart. In fact, it probably killed them so quickly that it would turn back to you very quick. It wouldn't really be anything, but it'd still be cool to see, because that's what they're meant to be there for. It's for clearing out the bogues. Anyway. And the Tritolite is kind of basic with too much RNG. If the ore is high up and the dispenser down below, it's hell without Driller. If the opposite, it's the easiest thing ever. Damn it. So reasonable. It's just so correct.
Motherfucker.
Who are you? Arapala. You're a very reasonable person. And I don't appreciate it.
Very wild.
I don't like it. Alright, second to last comment. This is yours, Tyler.
Mine.
From
Alrighty.
Whoa.
Well, got Gito DBZ.
Gogito.
9. No, I don't think there's any reason to think it'll be pronounced the same way as a Dragon Ball Z character. There's no good reason for that. DBZ 963. I do like the Lost Pack and cargo crates. However, there is one issue I have with the Lost Helmet. It's actually coming across it. Yes, you can listen out for the pulsating sound effects when you're near one, fine. But the bigger the caves, the more likely you are to miss them. I changed it, but it's still
That's fine.
Totally that, but the pickaxe paint jobs and parts, I feel should be offered as a whole set. This way you don't have to hope to complete a certain set by getting one part. It should just be something like you got the spring-loaded pickaxe set with the paint job! ! It would also free up the bloated RNG too.
Alright, so stop there.
Right.
Lost packs.
They're fine.
Yeah, I mean the pickaxe thing. I would say, it'll probably be going a bit far to bundle them all into one, but maybe just have it so you could get the full set of items in one go, and then the paint job separately. That could work. That's not a horrible idea. They're not going to change it though, because that's the entire point. That's why. Look, this is one thing where. Well, I mean, we call out customization actually fairly often, but I'll say this: I'm pretty comfortable in saying that I think the main reason pickaxe customization was added was to do this, to fill out stuff. So they're not gonna change that. They're not gonna change it so you get one piece at a time. It's just not gonna happen. So. Sorry, I don't even think it's a bad idea. I'm just saying it's not really. I think it's obvious why they are implemented the way they are. So.
Well, because I think it's interesting. Because back then they basically, they were adding things just to build stuff out, right? If they added the entire pickaxe set it wouldn't have been worth adding the helmet, right? There would have been like 6, maybe 7
Oh yeah.
things in it. Like it would have been basically nothing. And as time goes on, then yeah, it has now bloated quite a lot because every season has had a pickaxe set, right? So
Yeah.
it's been pretty reliably getting added to.
Well,
And victory trees,
season
right?
5
So,
had season 5 had 3 pickaxe sets. One in the pass, 2 sets in the packs.
on the bright side, moving forward, those pickaxe sets will not be in the helmet. They'll be in this season, so you don't have to worry too much about that.
Well, no, Tyler, Tyler, that was the case when season started. That's not the case with season 5 though, where it adds 2 sets to the packs and only 1 to the pass. And honestly,
yeah.
it could be a similar situation with season 6. I'm not saying this is like for sure, but I think given what we're working with, I think seasons are probably going to bring similar like troves of cosmetics outside the pass as well. From that could be a thing that's recurring. We'd have to wait a while to see. No, you definitely don't think so at all. Oh.
They only added them because they took out a bunch, because to put it back in the passes. I don't think it was from now on we're going to add even more cosmetics.
Yeah, okay, no, I think you're right. They probably will add 3 more maintenance paint jobs though to bring it up to 10. I think they'll do that for season 6. Yeah.
I think when it comes to that, they don't give a fucking shit. They could add like 17 and probably not even think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? There's one more part. I mean, who knows? It might not be anything, but to that comment, because I stopped you during.
As for the machine events, I'm a fan of them tonight. There isn't a whole lot of melee that you can do aside from power attacking every now and then. So doing that event is so much fun every time. Great video, guys.
Oh,
wow, you got to end on a fucking lie. You got to fucking lie to us like that.
That's not. No. Let's take it. Thank you for your compliment.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, okay. So on the there's actually, and there's also not be like, actually, I don't like this one.
What have you saved until last?
Nothing that deserves to be last. I'll say that much. Bro, I can't remember what it's Bro disagrees. Anyway, so there's 2 in 1 actually, and they're not replies, but I will probably just do both. So this is from Yams Tree 2454. I like lost packs as they are. Helmets aren't really that hard to notice if you're looking for them, and they are meant to be lost after all. And all the stuff in lost packs is like a few hundred hours to complete, which is fine for a playable game like DLG. As for the crates, the bloat is honestly unbelievable, especially since they have roughly the same spawn chance as helmets. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I think the reason why that's fair to say is because the cargo crates is where, like, most of the frameworks are kept. And it means it takes you fucking ages to get a framework set, like, for anyone. Let alone everyone. But, like, if you just want, a 4th relic, for example, for even just one person, it's going to take ages. And I kind of understand that. I think the Lost Pack cosmetics are just a bit less desirable, basically, compared to frameworks. But there's nothing that can be... There's not really anything that can be done. So that's kind of my take. It's just like, it's not actually great, but also I don't... Personally, I don't hate things where the game is kind of just meant to be played over and over again in a repetitive manner anyway, that you just sort of have to... You basically just have to grind through a bunch of separate loopholes. It's kind of just like the foundation of the game anyway, so deal with it. Basically. Deal with it.
Ditto.
And don't use the word ditto to, like, say you agree. I don't like it when people do that. It doesn't sound right, because I just...
Affirmative.
Okay. It's not bad. There's one more. There's another part to that. I put 2 in 1. This is from on snore leave. Snore leave? I like that. 8,674. So that's the oldest one we've got so far. Good lord. Oh, youngest, I guess. I like the way it is because getting a single piece will still keep me standing around the pickaxe station for a few minutes trying out a bunch of different pieces. If you got the full set every time, the time spent standing around testing different combinations would be so long you'd get bored and not even want to look at all the pieces you just got. At least that's how I'd feel. At around 650 hours, I got everything there is to get from lost equipment, but I still have quite a bit of cargo crate loot to get. If you took away the 7 parts that made up every set and gave them all at once, lost equipment would become redundant really fast. The other reason why I like the parts is just because they're some of the best filler in cosmetic loot pools. They're better than calling cards, emblems, weapon charms, any of that stuff. I like them a lot more than the facial hair in the Matrix Core loot pool. Okay, so that's basically someone who likes lost packs quite a bit. And I actually agree with the pickaxe thing. Where if you got them all at once, you would almost be discouraged from trying out all the different pieces. The only reason I don't is because I don't care that much about pickaxe customization. But I think I get it.
I have not looked at the pickaxe table in at least 2 years. And I used to care, but at some point, I stopped.
Okay. That's good. And he also, I think the last point kind of makes is about pickaxe parts being better cosmetic loot pool filler than what other games have, like weapon charms and emblems and things. And I'm gonna be a dickhead. I'm gonna be a piece of shit. I disagree. I don't love emblems and weapon charms and things, but I wouldn't mind getting cool it's so trivial. Icons, they kind of just don't mean anything. But I wouldn't mind getting icons that I can put on my name tag and things, or getting titles in lost packs or things like that. And honestly, I don't even hate the idea of weapon charms in DRG. So I feel like a bastard, but I don't agree that much because I think those things for me just make they make a bit more sense than pickaxe customization. Like, pickaxe customization is fine, but you don't see it that often, do you? Honestly, you could apply the same reason that there isn't traversal tool customization for pickaxes. Okay, maybe not. Well, kind of, but you do use the pickaxe a fair bit. Not in every game mode, but you do, because you use it to mine everything. So actually, maybe I'm wrong. It kind of makes sense. It's not that unreasonable, but it's not something that I care too much about either. I genuinely don't hate the idea of weapon charms, but that's just me. And we got the dice, so which is actually kind of interesting because the only example of me really going in for weapon charms is on Halo Infinite when they did the D20 weapon charm that I actually bought because I thought it was cool enough. So I've got a dice. Hold on.
Arabing. Oh, it's fucked off. It's just you and me now. It's my show, and my show is all about my cat, Echo. Oh, he's freaking out.
Nope, I don't know where they are.
Oh, that's a shame.
What it is?
Oh, my cat's behind me on my chair now.
We get some cat cam because we're done. Yeah. Let's get some finale cat cam. I think that's a good thing. Oh my god, there he is!
All of once.
Yeah, but look at that.
What, him?
Yeah.
He wants the stringy stuff.
What a champ. Well, I mean, if you think of if you were to include digital dice, we've actually used D&D dice a lot, quite a lot.
Playing Baldur's Gate?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I wish they.
The point is, I bought these die, and I've used them once, maybe twice, just for fun. I like rolling them sometimes. That's why I have them to hand.
Roll the dice. Oh god, man. I love cats. Isn't he great?
At the end of the video,
It's not a video,
We
Tyler.
done?
It's a podcast.
we, we, is that not the same? What the fuck are you doing?
Stupid ass cat. Yep. We're done. There we go. We got through. I was about to say we got through all the comments, but we actually do have comments, believe it or not, especially with our insane amount of views. But most of them are things like people commenting on like the way that I'm playing in an Overclock showcase. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this week. We didn't actually. I mean, not that we had to, but we didn't.
Is it not picking that up? Basically, I revived my alarm clock, and now at about 8:30, it starts saying a bunch of Dalek quotes, and about 9:30, it starts bugging out and going, and then like doesn't do anything, and it scares the shit out of me, my mum, and my cats. Thank you all for watching today's podcast. This has been a miserable time for everyone involved. I'm
Why would you say
glad
something like that?
you enjoyed. My nose is it's actually all right now. It's getting better. I think it's because this is ending.
That's
Your
Maybe.
your curse is over. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a while, hasn't it? How do we end these?
if you enjoyed,
Boxfoot Scoot. We thank Boxfoot Scoot.
yeah, we do. If you
Scoot. For giving us money.
enjoyed this episode of the Bavision Podcast, please
Help
make
the
sure to
channel.
like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff. If you want to see more of these and you want to stay on top of everything to do with Rocore and Deep Rock Galactic, click the bell as well. And look out for next week doing a fun tier list. Not the biscuits one.
Yeah. Sure, like I'm gonna buy that. Whatever you say. Harry, when he says fun. Ow, my finger clicked. This is your fault.
I was going to say what it's going to be about, but actually, you know what? I'll keep it. I'll keep it behind closed doors. So we'll find out next Saturday. But I will say we might want to do the biscuit one as like a cool down from it. I don't know what they just. I mean, my cat is just so uncurious compared to every other cat. I think she just doesn't care, and she wouldn't like that either. She wouldn't appreciate that. She wouldn't tolerate that, certainly. Although he's getting a bit annoyed, I think.
Yeah, he is. He's soppy.
Surely they're full size now, right? They must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't look. They still
But
look
they're-
so small. They look smaller than my cat, and Nellie's small.
That's what we think. We were like, why are they so small? Because they're smaller than like the garden cats that come
Because
down.
they split their like mass between each other.
Yeah. The little fetid creatures. Huh? The little fetid creature? Stick a finger in your ear.
Yeah, Nelly doesn't like that either.
Alright, I think we leave the podcast to him now. I think he'll wrap this all up.
All right.
Thank you all for watching. It's the cat show now. Realistically, people would watch that, right? I don't know if he's
He
still
genuinely
there.
looks like he's been left to do it and doesn't. And he's frozen up because he doesn't know what to do because he doesn't.
Like, people would watch a podcast where it's just like 2 to 3 cats just sitting there for like 2 hours.
I mean, Tyler, you could live stream your cats, and it could people would like it and donate stuff. It would like work.
Really interesting. interesting moment. He's cleaning himself.
Yeah, people love that.
This is non-safe.
There's like weird people
Like,
who just go nuts over everything cats do.
yeah, us.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
That's
say.
what
That's what I was
we're
gonna say.
doing.
What do you do? Oh, I'm gonna end it now.